I don't know why I agreed to it. Maybe it was peer pressure, or maybe I was just bored. My friend Tyler had this old notebook he found at a yard sale. Inside, there were pages of handwritten instructions for different supernatural games. Most of them were silly, like Light as a Feather or The Midnight Man. But one caught our attention, the numbers game. The rules were simple. You sit in a circle with at least 3 people, hold hands, and chant numbers in sequence, starting from 1. The catch was, if you reached the number 13, you had to stop and close your eyes, no matter what. Tyler swore he'd read online that the game let you see spirits. It sounded harmless, stupid even. But the moment we started, the air in the room felt heavier. We were sitting in his basement, just me, Tyler, and our friend Jenna, candles flickering in the dim light. We started chanting, 1, 2, 3. By the time we hit 8, I swear the shadows around us seemed darker. When we reached 12, there was this weird pressure in my ears, like we were deep underwater. Then we said it, 13. I closed my eyes like the rules said, and immediately I felt cold breath on my neck. I told myself it was just my imagination, but then Jenna screamed. When I opened my eyes, her nose was bleeding, and she was staring at the corner of the basement. Tyler and I turned to look, and there was nothing, at least at first. Then we saw it, a shape, a figure dark as the night sky, standing incredibly still. We bolted upstairs, and none of us slept that night. Tyler wanted to burn the notebook, but when he went to find it the next morning, it was gone. Since then, I sometimes see the same figure in my peripheral whenever I'm playing video games or watching a movie late at night. I never believed in that mirror game my roommate kept raving about. It sounded ridiculous. Stand in front of a mirror, repeat your name 3 times, and then your reflection would supposedly blink back at you. But when he begged me to try it, I figured, what's the worst that could happen? We set everything up in our dorm room one night. The only light came from the street lamp outside, barely filtering through the closed curtains. My roommate and I were jittery, not taking this seriously at all. I stood in front of the mirror. I could barely see my reflection in the dark, just the faint outline of my face. Feeling a little foolish, I said my name, Josh. I paused. Nothing. Josh. Still nothing. Josh. And then, my reflection blinked, except it wasn't just a blink. It was slow, deliberate, like it knew I was watching. I jerked back, heart pounding, but tried to laugh it off. See, I said, it's just some optical illusion or something. My roommate didn't answer. I turned to look at him, and that's when I realized he was frozen, his eyes wide in terror, staring at the mirror behind me. I looked back and saw myself, but different. My reflection wasn't mimicking me anymore. It just stood there, grinning, an unnatural wide grin that didn't belong on my face. Panicked, I stepped away, but my reflection didn't move. It watched me, the grin stretching wider and wider. My heart raced as I stumbled back into the door. Let's stop this, I mumbled, fumbling for the light switch. That's when Mirror Me spoke. Let's stop this, it whispered. But the voice wasn't mine. It was low, guttural, like a dozen voices at once. My roommate screamed, bolting out of the room. I ran after him, slamming the door shut behind us. We spent the night at our friend's dorm room, afraid to even glance at their mirror. When we went back the next day, we noticed something weird. The mirror was cracked, but from the inside, as if something had been trying to get out. I don't know what I saw that night, but I haven't looked into a mirror the same way since. It all started with a YouTube video, someone talking about the elevator ritual, a supposed game that lets you visit another dimension if you follow a set of steps while riding an elevator. I never thought much of it. But when I moved into a new apartment building with an old, creaky elevator, I couldn't resist giving it a shot. You know, for the thrill. One night, when I invited some friends over for a few drinks, I decided to try it. The instructions were simple. Enter the elevator alone, go to certain floors in a specific order, and at the end, you'd supposedly end up in a parallel world. When I left my apartment room, it was a little past 12, and the building was eerily quiet. I got in the elevator and pressed the buttons. 4th, 2nd, 6th, 2nd, and 10th. The elevator groaned as it moved slowly to each floor, and by the time I reached the 10th floor, the hairs on my neck stood on end. Something felt off. According to the ritual, if the elevator doors opened on the 10th floor and I saw no one, I was supposed to step out. If there was someone there, I had to stay inside, no matter what. The doors slid open, revealing an empty, dimly lit hallway. My heartbeat quickened. I knew I shouldn't step out, but something pulled me. It felt like the air was thick and heavy, urging me to cross that threshold. Just as I was about to take a step forward, a soft click echoed in front of me. The lights at the end of the hallway flickered and turned on, and a figure was standing at the other end. A woman. Her face was obscured by long dark hair, and her head tilted ever so slightly as if she was watching me. I froze. My mind screamed to hit the elevator button, to close the doors, but my body wouldn't move. Slowly, the woman began to walk toward me. Her steps were slow and deliberate, almost as if she was enjoying the moment. Panic surged through me, and I hit the close button, desperately jabbing it over and over. The elevator doors finally slid shut just as she reached them. As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse of her face. Her eyes, they were empty, hollow, like black pits that seemed to pull me in. The elevator jolted violently as if something had slammed into it from the outside. I screamed, and the lights flickered again. The buttons for every floor lit up at once, and the elevator started moving, but not in the way it should have. The sensation was wrong, like it was dropping faster than it should. When the doors finally opened again, I was back on my floor. I stumbled out, breathing heavily, trying to convince myself it was just my imagination. But deep down, I knew what I saw was real. The strangest part is when I looked at my watch, barely any time had gone by. I went back to my apartment to tell my friends what happened, but they laughed, saying that I had too much to drink. I haven't used that elevator since,